thank you again for being here. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, just in the course of this morning, on several occasions, different presenters have talked about Ohio as being a great place to do business. And I frankly give you and your administration a huge amount of credit for that. And I think on a relative basis, that's really, really important. And so on behalf of all of us, we thank you. So I've got a few questions, and feel free, as you always do, to go off script if you'd like and cover what you'd like to cover. But as you know, our summit this year is all about supply networks. And we're on a great economic track in this state. And it's because of the work of your administration and Jobs Ohio. So one of the biggest challenges is going to be, as we prepare for companies to continue to come in and continue to grow. No supply chain is more important than the success of our workforce. And so how do you feel about where we stand as a workforce as we think about bringing in more companies and growing the companies that are here?
Well, first of all, thank you very much, Chris, and thank you all for inviting me. Woody Hayes famously said, "You win with people," and that's how we win in Ohio. We're the essential facts. We're creating more jobs than we have people to fill the jobs. Another essential fact, we are like the rest of the country in a very low birth rate, have been that way for some time. No indication that that is going to change. 3, we are not a real large immigration state. We're not along the border. We get our share of immigrants, but we don't, it's not a huge amount. So there are some things, natural advantages we have, and things that we've helped all of us create. Ohio's a great place to live. Quality of life is great. Cost of living is, compared to the East Coast, West Coast, and other places, it is low. Also, people generally go to where jobs are. So all of those things are certainly helpful. But the most important thing, I think, that we can control is what we do in regard to education. And what we do in regard to, I always try to look at things. What can we control? What can't we control? I can't change February in Ohio. The weather is what it is. We got a lot of other great assets. February maybe not the greatest month. But the things we can do. So what can we do? It's in regard to education. So the most important thing we can do is to make sure that every young person who is growing up in the state can live up to their God-given potential, and that frankly starts before birth. We're doing an unprecedented amount of things through the state in regard to trying to reach pregnant mothers who maybe are in a difficult situation for any number of reasons, and trying to make sure that they get the prenatal care that they can get from us, and we're reaching out. We started that on day one when I took office. We continue to do that, and frankly, I want to thank the legislature. The legislature's been very good about giving us the funds and the resources that we need. We can do more, but we're off to a good start. Fran and the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, I was telling Chris a minute ago, he asked about it. We're sending out 400,000 books every single month to kids, 0 to 5. We're at 60%. We're sending more books out in Ohio to Ohio children than any other state in the union. And the Dolly Parton Library is in many states. So I give my wife Fran a lot of credit for kind of taking that on and saying we're going to spread that throughout Ohio. Getting kids ready for kindergarten, vitally important. And I'll talk about this in a moment when I get to the whole child care issue, which is really, I think, fundamentally important to jobs, and it's also fundamentally important to getting kids ready and living up to their full potential. We asked the legislature a year and a half or so ago to do something we don't normally do in Ohio, and that is to have some uniformity in our schools. And to say this is one thing we are going to do in every school in the state. And what we said was we're going to follow the science, We're going to follow what the evidence is. The jury's back. There's no longer any kind of legitimate debate about it, that the science of reading is the way you teach kids to read, whether they have dyslexia, whatever their challenge is. The problem is, for 20, 25 years, we've been off on this kind of a journey of looking at other ways and actually teaching kids other ways or using other methods to teach kids how to read. And the other methods aren't as good, and they don't reach the marginal kids, the kids who struggle. The 1/3 who are always going to read, but the other 2/3 are not, and they're going to have help. And so what we did is we said every school in the state is going to have to do that, every classroom. And so my wife Fran and I have been going around the state. We've been promoting this. We've been trying to find out what the challenges are. But it's not only our schools, our K through 12 schools. One of the other challenges is our colleges and universities are turning out kids, and many times these colleges are not teaching these teachers how to teach the kids how to read. So that's a big, big change. One statistic, Mississippi did this 4 or 5 years ago. They were 49th out of all the states in the union in reading. Within a matter of a few years after they made that change, they went from 49th to 29th, and that doesn't even count the issue in regard to poverty. And if you factor in poverty, they're really in the top 10. This is the way to go. Career tech. Something that John Houston and I have really worked hard on. I think between Fran and me and John Houston, we've been to every career tech school in the state. We're seeing some amazing things with relationships now established between local businesses and these schools. 10 years ago, that was not true. Today, it is true. And businesses get it, and the schools get it. And we're just seeing we don't have time, I'm watching the clock, we don't have time to tell you the stories, but some of the most gratifying things that I have done and Fran has done, and I know for John Houston as well, is to go in and talk to these kids. And these kids many times will look you in the eye and tell you, I hated school until I came here. I love what I'm doing, and guess what, I'm getting paid. I've got a job. Had one teacher in career tech tell me, I guess Fran and me, he said, you know, I get calls from businesses and they say, could I talk to your seniors? He said, I tell them, you're a year late. You can talk to my juniors. My seniors all have jobs. So we have to do more of that. But one of the things that we found, we started asking questions and said, do you have a waiting list to get in the school? Many times the answer was yes. Kids can't get into these schools sometimes. The other problem is if they get in, they can't get into the career path that they want. And so we asked the legislature for $300 million to get out to these schools, to expand the schools, and at the same time to get the real equipment they need. It's probably not enough. As we travel around, we're still finding a problem. So we're going to probably have to go back to the legislature to help for that. Let me talk about our colleges, because sometimes this gets to be, oh, it's career tech versus colleges. No, we have to do all the above. You talk to the companies that are looking at coming into Ohio. Some of them have a different mix, obviously. Each one is unique, but everybody has to live up to their full potential, and we need kids going into career tech, and we need kids going to college, and we need kids working on their PhDs. Had one company finally got down to keeping them in Ohio. The last question we got was, how many PhDs in chemistry do we supply in the state of Ohio? So we're a net importer of college students by far. We have more kids coming into Ohio than our kids going out, and so we have to, maximize that better as well. One of the things that we did, I asked the legislature to do, this graduating class, wherever school district you are in, that graduating class, the top 5% will get what we call the governor's scholarship, a brand new scholarship. It's a merit scholarship. Top 5% of the kids will get $5,000 a year. They can go to any school as long as it's in Ohio. They can go to private, they can go to public, $5,000 a year on top of anything else they get, anything else they qualify for. So it's worth up to $20,000. So we got to keep more of these smart kids in Ohio. The basic facts are, it's common sense. The majority of kids who get out of college when they graduate, their first job is within 60 miles of where they grew up or 60 miles from where they go to college. So we got to do all of these things, and we do more. Let me just, the final thing is we have to do more. We have to do more in regard to providing care for kids who are under 5 and who haven't started in school. This will help solve the workforce problem that we have. It will also help have these kids get ready for kindergarten. We're doing better. I asked the legislature to be here, and we ended up here, but it was better. We've come forward. We're now, everybody who's 200% or below of poverty level in Ohio, you're eligible for some subsidy, but we've got to move that up. And frankly, the more you can do in that area, and we want to work with you. If there's other creative things that we can do, working together, public-private partnerships in this, we're very open to do it. But it's an area, when I look at all the things we're doing, it's the one area we have got to move on.
And how has the take-up been on you have initiated a voucher program. How is the take-up, and is the word out that people know that those are available?
Yeah, and the take-up's okay so far. I mean, it's very, very early.
Right.
But I think we can always do a better job of getting that word out. Absolutely.
Yeah, it seems to me that's probably the case. Let me ask you a little bit. Like all supplies, Ohio's workforce requires a large network to be successful. In this case, it's families, it's educational providers, and the public sector, and of course, businesses all play a role in ensuring workers are ready for tomorrow's economy. As the network exists today, what should all of us do together to make sure that we advance that, Governor?
Well, I've seen communities, I've followed this. I started following this really when I was Lieutenant Governor under George Voinovich. And frankly, I looked at what, at that time, business community in Cincinnati was doing, and went down there and kind of looked at it and saw their involvement in education. I don't think there's any substitute for the business community being the leader in education. And there's many, many ways of doing that. It can be involved in trying to move forward with the local public school. It can also be, focusing on internships that you can offer and bring kids in. There's a million ways to do this, but there's no substitute for you being involved in this. And I really think if you look at the future of Ohio and what we're going to need, there's just no substitute to making sure everybody maximizes their God-given potential. I mean, one of the challenges that I see when I talk to young people, and Fran and I are surrounded by young people. We have 28 grandkids, and so we just had our first great-grandchild. She's not talking yet, but all of that, we learn from them, but we're out with kids all the time. There's a real disconnect, I think, many times between young people and what options they have in life. And it's not that we want to put kids on a track and say, you need to go this track, you need to go that track. We're not going to do that in this country. We're not going to do that. But what we got to do a better job of is letting kids see what's out there, letting kids understand the horizon. And when young people can get a job in high school, whatever that is, it's helpful. If it's at a fast food restaurant, they're learning some soft skills. They're learning how to go to work. They're learning how to get up and go do that. It's everything from that to a company that mirrors what they're learning in high school and what maybe they think they want to do. But those experiences, the more experiences these kids can have, nothing bad's going to come out of that. They're going to learn they don't like to do something. That's okay too. They're going to learn they like something. And ultimately, what you want for every child in the state is for them to have a real passion. What you want for your own kids. You want them to get excited about something and say, I want to do this. I love doing this. And that's what we got to do. But we got to show them more opportunities. And businesses going in, I'm seeing more and more of that. Businesses going into schools, working with schools, starting as early as 5th grade, 6th grade, just exposing kids to more things. The more they're exposed to, the better it is.
Even once people are in the workforce, I think there's things we can do. We put together a program that we didn't invent, by the way, but it's been wildly successful. You know, we had always assumed that to be a coder, you had to have a 4-year degree, et cetera, et cetera. Well, we had all these folks working in our operations center, and we gave them sort of this coding aptitude test, those that wanted. And by the way, it's life-changing because you make like 3 times as much money as a coder than you do as being an ops person. And guess what? There are a lot of people that are really wired that way. It has nothing to do with some 4-year degree. It has everything to do with sort of what your aptitude is. So I think kind of exposing people to more things, one, is a huge help to our business, but it's also a huge help to them. Governor, in the time we have left, is there anything else? You've got the audience here of CEOs from all around the state. Is there anything else you want to cover before I open it up and see if there's a couple questions?
No, just the kind of, the final, I guess, PS is, you know, help us. Legislature, despite what the news media says, the legislature and I have had some disagreements about some things, but if you look at the 3 budgets, the budgets we presented, we've gotten almost everything we've asked them to do. The one area where we need help in, I believe, is in childcare, and it's vitally important, and you can sell it for several different ways. You can sell it for it's good for business, you can sell it for it's good for kids, happens to be good for both. It's a win-win-win, and you know, it does involve money, but you know, figuring out how we can do better in Ohio. We're not doing as well as other states in this particular area. We have to do that.
I think that's a great one to end on. Governor, once again, thank you for everything you do
Thanks,
for
everybody.
Ohio. Thank you.